What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the CODEX Station Comic Character of the Week, where we take one character and do a deep dive, give you all the badass moments, give you all the cool covers, give you must-read stories, and a lot more than you could possibly imagine. I am your host, Sal, this live guy. As always, or with me are the usual ones down below. We're missing one tonight, but here is Dan the Man Kelly. You can always find him at Dan Kelly Art on Instagram, and of course, over here is the head dog, the big cheese, J Dub. How
I
you
like
guys?
how you
Sounded
had
like
that,
you were going to say
that
something
little.
else there and just couldn't come up with anything.
Yeah, I thought
I actually had three things I wanted to say, and I lost the third one, so I just went with the dramatic pause. Thanks, Tim. Tim said, "Nice intro."
noise.
Nice intro. Thanks, buddy.
Right.
I appreciate it. I love working. I love working those.
All right, Sal. So is your pick this week? Right.
Yes, and I picked Carnage, as you could tell by the title card, ladies and gentlemen. Dan, why don't you go ahead and give us the info on Carnage?
All right. So he first appeared. Well, this was back in the day when Marvel would tease first appearances, so there'd be like little things here and there. But his first full appearance was Amazing Spider-Man 361. It came out in April 1992, created by David Michelini and Mark Bagley. And the character Cletus Cassidy had popped up, a bunch of times in different issues before then, but that was the first full appearance of him as Carnage. And Carnage, who is Cletus Cassidy, who was a serial killer, who was cellmates with Eddie Brock. And when the Venom symbiote came and broke Brock out of prison, it left behind a little small drop, a little offspring that bonded with Cassidy and then became the psychotic supervillain Carnage. And as far as powers, it's the same kind of, mostly the same stuff as Venom, though a little bit more, because they said that since he was born in a different environment on Earth as opposed to where Venom was from, it added stuff to him. So he's got the super strength, shape changing. He's got the ability to stick to any surface. He could see in all directions because the symbiote, was keeping track of everything around him. He can implant thoughts in people's head through tendrils from the symbiote that attach to him. He can regenerate body parts. He's immune to pretty much all diseases. And he could fire parts of himself off parts of the symbiote as little projectiles. And then, much like how Venom cannot be sensed by Spider-Man, he can't be sensed by Spider-Man or Venom.
Nice. All right, so that brings us up to, let's go ahead and actually talk about our member chat and super chat. Jamie, why don't you go ahead and give us the info on that?
Yes, guys. Right now, you can become a member for the Codex Station YouTube. It's only $3.99 a month, and you're gonna get exclusive episodes, new shows, shout outs from us, whoever you want to talk to, basically. It's a great deal. We just did our very first top 10 that we put public for free. The next top 10 is set to be released on Friday. If you're seeing this, it's already out. And that one was with Sal and Uncle Gary. You want to give them a little bit of an idea of what that one is?
Yes. So Uncle Gary and I, if you've watched the chat, we've had a bit of a back and forth about the
Great
Beast.
debate.
Is he an Avenger or is he an X-Men? X-Man. Dan would think he's a Defender, but this is only Uncle Gary and myself. So we had the top 10 reasons why he's an Avenger, which, believe me, all sucked. And then they had top 10 reasons why he's an X-Man, which were perfect and awesome. And you sided with me at the end of the show.
Well, you're gonna have to find out the truth by joining up for.
See for yourself.
Don't believe
folks.
that
Go
one
check it
bit.
out.
But yeah, you guys can definitely go check that out. And our super chats are open, guys. We've had a lot of people in chat now. It's hard to keep up with everybody. So if you want something you're saying known, doesn't cost a lot. You can do $1. Whatever it is, we're happy. It helps our little station grow. And it helps our, community grow too. So if you guys want something known and highlighted, do it that way. If we miss you, we do apologize. But this is how we're going to have to start doing things moving forward.
Yep. Yes, indeed. And speaking of the chat, let's just give a quick shout out. Richard's here. Bougie is here. Tim is also in the chat.
Yes.
So give a shout out. Tell us what you think. Throw some comments in there. We'll we'll put it up there and we'll talk about you for a quick second or two. All right, so moving on for our first segment of the night. Thank you, Dan, for that intro, by the way. It was really good. We're going to go with scenarios that work best for him. And Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off for that one?
I like him best the way he was when he was first introduced, where he's just a super-powered, psychotic serial killer. You know, it's the symbiote is bonded with Cletus Cassidy, and the only thing that you know that he's going to do is something that's depraved, psychotic, and gruesome. There's not some, overarching cosmic thing, and it's not bonding with different people. It's like it's Cassidy and the two, and him and the symbiote like feed off of each other and just become more psychotic. And I always thought it was interesting that where Venom always says we, Carnage was always I. So that was another little thing that I just you pick up when you're reading it and you're like, huh, this is different. I don't know if they ever did anything to explain that, or if it was just how they wrote it.
I think they did, but I think it was only like a quick gloss over of why he does that. And I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think they did it for one time.
Yeah. But yeah, that's short and sweet. That's how I like him. A super powered psychotic serial killer. And that's all he has to be.
True. All right, Jamie, go ahead. Tell us what
I like him. I think it works best. Like Dan said, but I have a different twist to it because of the fact that they've really tried to change the character since he's just been a psychotic serial killer, all that. He's still that, but they're adding more to him as far as having a cult and a brotherhood and all these other things. When I do enjoy that aspect. I really do. It's taking the character to another level. But him just being unleashed as this like crazy maniac still works the best for him. Like there's no other way to put it, but he is unhinged. He's Carnage. He wants destruction. Trying to take over basically to be the new King in Black or be the main part of the hive.
God mode of him or whatever.
Yeah, the God symbiote.
Yeah.
That's not him because he doesn't want the power. He just wants to destroy, and he can still do it without it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind him like, when he's got followers like in Maximum Carnage where he had the other crazies that were going around with him. Like, that's fine. I just, it's, I'll get into it more with what you don't like. When it's like the big cosmic stuff and all that. Like, no, that's not how this character should be. If he's got a couple loonies that are following him around, it's cool. Because also, just like the Joker, you never know when he's just going to flip and be like, you know what, I'm going to kill you now.
Yeah.
Right. You said something I didn't like, and now you're toast.
Yep. So,
what about you?
I was going to say that lines up with exactly what I was about to say, Dan. He reminds me a little bit about the Joker like that because he could be killing, people with you and just snap, and all of a sudden, you're on the chopping block too, just because he wanted to. It's like, and that's the psychotic killer in him. So, if you know the symbiote lore, it's the Venom symbiote, makes the stronger Brock became, the Venom symbiote added more strength to him, that type of thing. So that's why Brock was always working out stuff like that. The offspring that gets him bonds with Cletus. Cletus is like mentally insane. So the symbiote was also then driven mentally insane as well to a much more exponential value, I'd say. So whatever it was, it made him worse. That type of situation.
What's up, Pam?
Hey, Pam. Let me see. Here we go. What'd she say? I don't know jack about Carnage. Nerd card revoked? No,
nope,
Pam, it's okay.
You're in the right spot.
You're right place at the right time. It's okay. So, and Rich here said, Carnage is no leader. No, he is not a leader. Not unless
Carnage reminds me of the Dark Knight, where it's like, oh, he told me to kill the guy, the last guy. Oh, well, he didn't, and then he kills the guy in front of him, and then it just gets to Carnage.
Yeah.
Right. So, so he reminds me of the Joker like that, where he's just on a thing, and you're absolutely right, Dan and Jamie. You both hit this point right on the head. He's best as a psychotic, crazy killer. At one point in the origin story, he actually goes back to the house of the people he killed because he wanted to.
Yeah.
He wasn't trying to make a point. He just wanted to. And he was telling the symbiote, I remember this specifically. He was like, pipe down and give me some normal human clothes. So it was like, you could probably hear the symbiote telling him, why are we stopping for? Why are we returning here? We got to kill some more people. It's like, I wanted to sit here for a minute. Pipe down. So Spider-Man always saw Venom as his darker side, but Venom sees Carnage as like an even darker version of him. So, Venom's like that lethal protector attitude, but Carnage is just absolutely crazy insane and doesn't mind killing anybody, anywhere, or anytime. And yes, I do like how they kind of expanded the character a little bit, gave him a cult, gave him a following. I actually didn't mind the whole God of the Symbiotes type of storyline that was happening with him, because I felt like they kind of expanded a little bit. And at one point, the symbiote was alone. It got rid of Cletus and still survived on its own. So it's strong enough to live on its own.
Not entirely got rid of Cletus. I'll touch on that later.
Yeah. It didn't get entirely, but of course they're back together and everything's, crazy as usual. So, yeah.
And
so that's
I was gonna say, when they introduced Carnage, that's kind of when they started changing Venom too. It's like, all right, we got Venom. He's having to team up with Spider-Man and these other heroes to fight Carnage. And that's when he then went off and had his Lethal Protector series. And that's the point where they started turning him from less villain into more anti-hero, to the point where he just got to be straight up superhero.
Yep. Rich says Carnage would fit in.
Yeah, that's a crossover that I was hoping for one day.
That would be awesome crossover. That really would. I would like that. All right, so that pretty much wraps up what I think works best for this character. And moving on, we're going to list our favorite badass moments. And Jamie, since you may go first on this one.
Oh, okay. Well, at number one for me, I've got, and this is what I was talking about earlier that I get into, was Carnage being alone, but inside of him is Cletus's skeleton rotting away.
Yep.
Even though he says he's alone, he shows people that they're like, aren't you Cletus Cassidy? And he shows them. He's like, you mean this guy? And then the skeleton comes out and he brings it back in. He's like, I don't need him anymore, but I keep him around.
Mm-hmm.
It's
a badass moment on its own.
Yeah.
What was that in?
That was in the second volume.
Yeah.
Right at the end of the second volume, right when he gets into the Brotherhood, because there had to be a sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
And Cletus to him was his sacrifice. And then the next one I got was slaughtering a diner full of people. And that was in Deadpool versus Carnage. And he totally the opening scene, literally, first page is him just massacring a diner without any cause. Just because he wanted to. It was like a Tuesday, I think he said it was.
Yep. I was just going to say bougie with the Lethal Protector comment there. Yep. It was good. That was a good new take. And definitely. Wes Rebel Scum. Carnage is such a meanie head.
Reminds me of Wes when he doesn't get his way, especially with CGC.
I know.
When he gets a 9 and he thinks it's a 9 too. Oh my God, the diner's got to watch out.
Yeah, I know. Was that also like an absolute Carnage, the rotting skeleton?
Yes.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, that's what Volume 2 led into Absolute. So,
sorry to interrupt you, Jamie.
Yeah, no problem. But it took the whole Brotherhood into effect. But next up, and lastly, actually, it's a funny one for me. Okay. Because it's one of my favorite Carnage stories, but it's so stupid that it made the list on this, and you'll see later. It's from Axis Carnage.
God.
Oh,
yeah. It's Carnage trying to be a good guy and still killing people by accident.
Right.
And him being like, well, I'm not Venom, and then swings away.
Yeah.
He literally drops a guy from a building because he was paying attention to something else and looks down and he's like, well, I'm not Eddie.
See you later. So, folks, that old Axis storyline was back when they inverted all the villains and superheroes to be, morally opposite.
Right.
So he was affected by that. And I think Superior Iron Man, and I want to say gosh, there was a couple other people in there that was protected that did not get that switch, but that storyline was silly.
Yeah, it was silly, but it was so worth the read because he was just trying to be
Sabretooth was another one that was in that group too.
He was just trying to be Eddie.
Yep.
Wasn't there one scene in that book where he saved somebody, and then they said something, and he was like, "Oh, you know," and it was like something trivial. It was like, "You're a jaywalker? That's against the law too. I have to kill you now." And it's like, what?
Yeah. Each book was him trying and yet killing somebody.
Yeah. Trying to be a hero, but yet killing somebody. All right, Dan. What do you got for badass moments?
So the first one I have is from Carnage Mind Bomb, where he has this the psychiatrist that goes in and is trying to talk with him and trying to reason with him, and I guess they think that the symbiote's away, and then he's like, "Oh, guess what? I'm here," and the symbiote gets him, and then like I said, for the powers for the mind control thing through the tendrils, gets in the guy's head. He's like, "You want to peek into what I'm really like?" and essentially drives the psychiatrist psychotic, and then when they go into the room to get him out, the psychiatrist is raving mad and like cannibalistic and starts attacking and biting and trying to eat the guards and people that are there trying to help him.
Yep.
And again, these aren't really badass moments. These are more like top 3 like gruesome Carnage moments.
It's all true.
You ever seen
That's
Zombieland?
Yeah.
Okay, remember Kill of the Week? That's how I feel this top 3's going.
It is. Go ahead, Dan.
And Maximum Carnage, when he kills an entire mental hospital full of people just so that he can get Spider-Man and Venom's attention. Like, all right, this will get their attention. They'll come after me now. Like, okay. And then the last one I have is from Carnage USA, when the symbiote like travels through the pipes, and this guy runs home and he's like, where's the baby? And he's like, oh, Timmy's giving him a bath. What are the kid's name is? His little brother. And he runs in the bathroom, and the symbiotes come out of the drain and already infected the baby, and then infects the toddler son that's with him, which, by the way, that's irresponsible parenting to have a toddler giving a baby a bath. But the symbiote gets both of them and then like attacks the father too. Like that's pretty horrid, horrendous and gruesome.
Yep. What type of crazy person kills a crazy house? Okay. Yeah, kills a crazy house. Yep, that's true.
If he doesn't have a crazy house, there's nowhere for him to go.
That's true. All right.
Well, those are my 3. What do you got, Sal?
Dan, you stole mine.
I
had Carnage. Yeah, I had Carnage USA, but I got a little bit different one on this one because he possesses the whole town, Doverton, Colorado, and makes them his servants. So he actually possessed the whole town and had the whole town like his servants. It was pretty funny. And of course, he tried. I think he possesses Captain America, Hawkeye, and Wolverine, and the Thing as well during that storyline. And then I had Carnage Mind Bomb, where the Doctor tries to understand his, and as he tries to understand him, and he infects the Doctor. And he goes, as the Doctor begs for her life, she tells Carnage that she can help him eventually cure him, and he's like, I'm going to wipe out anybody. I don't care. I'm going to wipe out everybody anyhow, so it doesn't matter. So in Venom Carnage Unleashed, he actually gains a new ability in this one, and I don't think they actually went back to this one, but he was able to travel through like the power lines and the communication lines, like come through the computer. So there was a picture or a frame that had somebody at the computer, and the tendrils just came out and went right into the person's face.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
So yeah, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit drastic, but it was the '90s. It was the era of the getting online. So I think anything was possible at that point. So I have one more since Dan stole a lot of mine. In Maximum Carnage, he was able to form weapons. He was one of the first symbiotes that formed weapons because Venom never really formed weapons. So he would form axes and stuff like that, and he'd like leave it there, and it would disintegrate later. But during that storyline, he gets away from Spider-Man, and he actually writes in his own blood on the wall that there'll be another time or something to that effect. I'll get you next time. But he wrote it in his own blood because there was no innocent victims around there was no victims around to use their blood. So he used his own blood to write a message to Spider-Man on the wall. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sicko to me. Yeah, that's what I have for my badass moments, but you can find them plenty. So moving on, we're going to talk about critiques and criticisms of why they suck. So I'll start first on this one. I I don't know. I feel like I didn't like. I understand. He's this psychopath killer, blah blah blah, and I think they tried to expand his character because that is very one dimensional. Okay, he's broken out again. He's gonna kill people. Okay. Honestly, I think they even tried to give him the death penalty, but that didn't work.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Derek, what's going on, buddy? Welcome to the chat.
Yeah, my godson.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Welcome to the chat. So I think they're trying to expand him, but I don't know if they're doing it right or the correct way. I do like the hive mind and the god of the symbiotes type of thing because that's more, I think, along the lines of what his direction should be. But the Axis storyline was just too silly. I couldn't stand that. So yeah, we could expand a little bit on the serial killer psychopath. Like an example, I'll say here is Norman Osborn obtained the symbiote and was able to merge with it a little bit, but he didn't connect well with it because he always wanted to be in control where the symbiote wanted to be in control. So they never really had a strong bond. But the Red Goblin was an ideal creature. It was pretty cool. It was like insanity.
That was actually my favorite. That was on my list for recommended readings for Spider-Man when we did that episode.
Yeah, very good. Oh, cool. So yeah, it was like ultimate evil versus meets up with pure insanity. It's just a great combination. So I kind of like that, but I understand why that didn't work out and why that didn't happen because they wanted to go back to Cletus as well. So, all right, Dan, what do you got for things that you don't like about him?
I don't really like when they have them bond with other characters. Like I don't need to see the symbiote bond with Norman Osborn or bond with the Wizard or whatever
Wizard,
whatever the other dumbass they want to have him bond with. I like it's Cletus Cassidy and the symbiote.
What's up, Keith?
What's going on? And they work well together. I don't need this to see the symbiote jumping from character to character. The same thing with Venom when it was like, oh, now Flash Thompson has it. Oh, now the Scorpion has it. Like, no, it's Eddie Brock.
Lee Price is the new Venom.
What'd you say?
Like when Lee Price was the new Venom.
Yeah, like it's
that was horrible.
Yeah, it's like
I like the Mannix.
Eddie Brock and the symbiote. That's Venom. So I don't like the symbiote going and jumping around like that. Though it was kind of cool when it was like the symbiote with the shark.
Yes, Pam. He's very much like a supernatural kind of serial killer because it does devolve into that. One of the stories goes that way where he gets his own cult. So yeah, definitely.
And unlike you, Sal, like I don't like the cosmic stuff. The same criticism I had for Venom. I don't like the whole null and there's like the whole planet of symbiotes and there's this and that and there's a billion symbiotes out there. Like, to me that just it's like when we're going to introduce like all these other Kryptonians for Superman. Or we're gonna this character works, so we're just going to make 12 more that are exactly like him. Like it takes away the uniqueness of him. You had Venom. Venom begot Carnage, who was another symbiote, but was very different. And then they had like the other ones that they got from that.
Right.
A few of them, but then when they made it like, oh, there's thousands and thousands and thousands, like it's too much. Like I said, I didn't dig the cosmic stuff with either of them.
All right, I can understand that.
Yeah, so those are my criticisms of it. What about you, Jamie?
Real fast, I do got just a little disagree. I love Null. I agree
with you, Richard. Less is more.
Yes, I do like the Null aspect though. That's one thing I got. There's a disagreement on there, but that's for another day. I will defend Null to the end. My biggest issue is when they try to separate Cletus from Carnage. Cletus is Carnage, Carnage is Cletus. Just like Eddie's Venom and Venom is Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what. You could have Dylan in there as a side thing right now. Doesn't matter. Eddie was Toxin for a while. He's not Toxin.
No,
you know what I mean? You take that ingredient away from Carnage, and it's not Carnage at all. Even having his skeleton remains in there makes him still part of him.
Yeah.
But the moment you take away that personality, the essence of what he is, it's no more. So I hate when they do that.
Well, yeah, like we said, because the symbiote went. The first thing it did when it literally it came into existence, and then it dripped down onto Cletus, and the symbiote's personality was informed by being bonded to Cletus first. If the symbiote had dropped on Captain America's hand, and that was the first one, who knows? Maybe it's a super heroic,
Captain America.
Captain America type character. But it was completely. Its personality completely came from bonding with Cletus, the moment it was born. So taking it away from him and putting it on someone else, it's
right. And I believe that with Carnage, they actually took it a step further with the bonding process because it's actually bonded into his blood, into his DNA type situation. So there was a couple of stories where they thought they had killed off Carnage, but Cletus was still alive. But no, he was still in his bloodstream as long as Cletus had, blood.
Yeah, because wasn't it something that he would get a cut and then the Carnage would come out of the cut and
right.
And just like how Cletus can have whole limbs blown off and then regenerate because of the symbiote.
Right. You know what's funny is that Cletus was actually going to kill Brock in the cell, and his mindset was like, "I'm already in here doing 12 life sentences. What's another life sentence if I have to? I don't care," because he couldn't stand Brock at all. Because all Brock did was like work out and try to make himself stronger because he knew the symbiote was coming back.
Well, thanks, Derek.
Hey, Derek. All right.
Love it, buddy. You'll be getting a bunch of stuff here soon, so I'll actually message you after the show.
All right.
But yeah, cool. It's also cool seeing the difference between them because, like you said, the more that Brock works out, the stronger he gets because of Venom. So the Venom was always big and muscular, whereas Carnage was always very slim and
lanky.
Lanky, yeah, exactly. So yeah, it was always interesting seeing that that difference in the way that they're presented as well.
Yep, definitely. All right, so I guess we could move on to top covers then, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jamie, you're the button man. Why don't you show your covers first?
Ooh, I gotta do me. All right.
There we go.
So
there's
obviously,
the Agnes cover.
but that cover though,
it is badass. I love it.
Like the tethered American flag and how the symbiote just looks around it is amazing. That's number one for Axis. The next one I got is issue 3 of Carnage. This is from the last volume. I don't know what anyone thinks, but every issue of that series, every cover was amazing.
They were some good covers.
Yeah,
they were.
But this one stood out to me the most, where it's still not Cletus inside of him. It's that god power he's going for throughout the series, but just seeing like the faces morphing out of him, trying to escape him is amazing. And then lastly, another issue 3, but this is for Absolute Carnage. I just love the fact that every hero is stuck in the symbiote.
Yeah.
Like
that was one of my covers I cut.
Was it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think these 3, if you're gonna look for covers, something to display, kind of like me or Dan or Sal have in the background, these would be one of the 3. For me at least.
Cool covers. They're awesome. And I love the background you use for the title, by the way. That's cool. Because I almost picked that as the intro card, but I went with the side profile one.
I like the recommended reading one more though.
Okay. Well,
this is a surprise.
It's a surprise, ladies and gentlemen.
Who wants to go next?
Dan's next.
It's me.
Yeah.
Right. So all the way in the end, I gotta go. His first full appearance, 361.
Yeah.
One thing I always think of with the covers is whenever whoever's pick it is, whenever they say, "All right, this is the character." Not every time, but sometimes you'll have that that image flash in your head or that cover flash in your head. And as soon as Sal said, "All right, we're doing Carnage," the first one that popped into my head was 361. So I'm like, "All right, so that's got to be one." It's a pretty cool cover. Not a lot going on in the background, but it's you get everything you need to know about the character right from that image. The middle one is from Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. It's the first issue, and I just love how it looks to me almost like a horror movie poster.
Yeah.
Where
Which says the middle one needs teeth.
Yeah, but to me it always looks like the teeth are, kind of growing in the top and bottom are growing into each other. It's like it almost looks like the symbiote's made of blood and then it's screaming the way it is. So I thought that was cool. And then the one on the end, Carnage Mind Bomb, I just love that. It's grotesque. It's on top of the pile of skulls. It's kind of a twist on one of those Spider-Man poses where he does the weird kind of contorted pose, but taken in a horror type vein. And I love how the background, it kind of looks like it's just all splattered blood in the background of it.
Yeah.
And especially with the logo too. And if you see this, it's even better, if you see it in person because it's a foil cover. So it's definitely one to check out. And like I told Sal the other day when I was looking at these, I was like, man, I got to get a copy of Mind Bomb just because that's such a great cover that I want to be able to put it up.
So Bougie digs the Mind Bomb cover as well.
Yeah, and like I said, if you see it in person, it's even better because of the foil on it. Just looks so
foily goodness.
Yeah, yes. It was the 90s, man.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and show my covers. Great covers, by the way. That's readings.
Whoop, wrong one. There you go, Sal.
Weird covers there, Sal.
Button pushing. Maybe I should do the button pushing.
You should. It moved it by accident. I went to go click it, it slid up.
Slid up. Okay, all right. So over the far left there, I also have a Black Carnage, Black, White, and Blood. This is the B cover of #1. Ken Lashley, I think, did the cover for this.
Yeah.
But that's I just love the tendrils, and each one looks like it's forming some type of like sharp axe or type of weapon. And of course, I stuck with the weapon theme because I went with Spider-Man #37. And this is during the Maximum Carnage series, as you can see, number 12 out of 14. But he's swinging the big ass axe, shattering Spider-Man's web shield there, which is pretty cool. Oh, okay. Let me. I'll talk about this last cover here, but then there was something else I wanted to mention. The last one here is Carnage from Volume 2. This is the C cover, and I like it for the tendrils popping out of them, like all crazy. So this is what I want to mention. One of the things I like about him. You notice how Venom's symbiote was very slick and always like smooth. Like Cassidy or Carnage was always like bubbling. There was always a tendril going somewhere, and it just kind of reminded me of the fact that this guy is so insane that this symbiote is also going crazy as well at the same time. As you can see with all that Spider-Man 37, you got the tendrils going all over the place, and that other one, Black, White, and Blood cover, also going all over the place as well. So that's what I also liked about it. That he was such a contrast to Venom in that manner.
The Black, White, and Blood one that you put up kind of reminds me of the Aliens movies.
Yeah,
where you would see them just kind of like parts of them just kind of coming out of the shadows.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is pretty cool. Okay, so moving on here,
and 9 covers and all of them unique.
Yep. And I knew you were going to do 361, so I didn't want to pick that.
I knew someone was going to have it. I have it.
Tried to go with something.
So it's like
I have it.
It's iconic, but I figured someone was going to pull it, and I want to pull covers that people can't afford right now.
Yep, I actually have that 361 slab. I got a nice remark. It's signed by Mr. Bagley himself.
Is that Bagley?
Is that Bagley? Yes, sir, it is. All right, so before we jump to our next section, we are going to do our sponsor of the show. Jamie, why don't you go ahead and take that away?
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard me say it 1,000 times, so I'm going to say it 1,001 for you here today. But go check out Dubby Energy. Guys, it's the cleanest form of energy you're going to get in the market today. No jitters, no crash, no bad aftertaste like Monsters or Red Bulls. Everyone on the station here has used it. It gives us the energy to get these shows done and for me to keep talking like this while breathing. It's amazing. So go check them out at w.gg. And at the end, when you go check out, use the keyword code -X at checkout. Save yourself 10%. They have 3 new flavors. And I don't know if I'm going to say it, but if I'm allowed to, but I'm going to. Bottles and cans are coming.
Yeah.
So
Very good.
And then I will let you guys take over the other sponsor for the show, which would be Comic Logic.
Ah, yes. Dan, you want to start off with this one, or do you want me to take it?
Comic Logic, the only comic shop in Loudoun County, Virginia.
There you go.
In Ashburn. Sal and I have both been there multiple times. It was funny because the first time when we went and did the video at Gary's house, and he's like, "Oh, follow me to the shop, that I co-own." And Sal's
you can find driving. Uncle Gary there as well.
Yeah, and Sal's driving, which made me fear for my life. For anyone,
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a completely safe driver, ladies and gentlemen.
You're the safest. You're the safest driver that's
here at the Codex station. We make upwards.
As we're pulling up, I was like, I've been to this shop before a couple times, so it's a cool shop. They're in Ashburn, Virginia, and they got what they got 3 events coming up, right? They have
the Star Wars Day,
Free Comic Book Day on May 4th,
Day,
which they will have Brendan Wayne there, who is John Wayne's grandson, which Gary is very excited about, and he is also the one that plays the Mandalorian whenever the helmet's on in the show. He's the one that's behind the suit. He'll be there doing a signing. May 19th, they have their Spring Lot Con, which me and Sal went to the one last year. And that was a lot of fun, a lot of cool vendors. And then on April 20th, they are celebrating the 9th anniversary of the store. And they have not said exactly what, but there will be treats and there'll be sales and just all kinds of goodness. And you can go and meet all the Comic Logic crew. They're all really good people. Buy some stuff.
And meet Sal and Dan.
Well, I won't be at their anniversary thing because that is this weekend. But I will be showing up for their Star Wars Day because I've got a book for Brandon Wayne to sign. So
you know what? I will do one better. For if either of you show up for the, and I'll do it for both. I'll be nice. If you guys show up for the Free Comic Book Day or the Lot Con, and you guys get a picture with Sal or Dan and tag us in it, I will do a drawing for a free comic giveaway.
Ooh, Jamie's just changing the rules on us here. He's just
Comic Logic deserves it, and if you guys meet up with them and take some pictures, and all you have to do is post it saying you met up with Sal, Slab Guy, or Dan, tag us in it. Let us know that you guys saw him. I'll be more than happy.
All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot go this Saturday either because I have to take my daughter to the birthday for a 1-year-old. So that's just going to be so much fun.
I have an almost 2-year-old at the house right now.
You sound so excited about that, Dan.
Oh, yeah. It'll be fun. She'll have fun. That's what's important. Yeah. But yeah, check out Comic Logic. It really is. It's a great shop, and all the guys there, and girls, everybody there is fantastic. Uncle Gary is a proud co-owner. The majority owner, Rob, is a really nice guy. When the video is up from the Big Lick Con that we went to this past Sunday, when that's up soon, you'll be able to see us talking with the owner of the main owner of Comic Logic, Rob, on there. Talk to him for a bit there too.
Yep. As well as some other awesome interviews. Yep. So whatever all that Dan said, yes, times 10. Very much so. You covered everything, Dan. So that's good. If you're in Loudoun County, go check them out. All right.
And if you get a picture of Uncle Gary, I will do the same.
So we got myself, we got Dan, we got Uncle Gary. Get a picture with any of us there. Jamie gives you a free comic book.
I will do a mystery pack.
A mystery pack. Is it going to?
And if you get a picture
of the wall?
No, those stay.
And if you get a picture of Uncle Gary lifting you up like you are a long box like this, you'll get two mystery packs.
Yeah, one will be from Dan.
Yeah,
that's funny because Uncle Gary will do that.
Yes, he will. He will allow that 1,000%.
Oh,
I'm so glad he's not here for this.
Yeah,
Uncle Gary, I'm sorry. They sprung that on me. I'm just going to tell you right now. Okay, all right. Let's go ahead and move on to our next segment, which is essential readings. And I guess I will go first on there since you already flashed my card.
It didn't. No one noticed.
There. Everybody noticed. Come on.
What? We
All
know
right,
about
so
that. I can fix that in post.
post. Yeah, everything's fixed in post. I don't think so.
I can.
All right,
I'm good.
so we got Absolute Carnage number 1 through 5. This is just a great event. You know, he hunts everyone down that's ever bonded with the symbiote to make a point to kill people. I think it's just an excuse for him to kill more people. But moving on to the next one, Carnage Black, White, and Blood, numbers 1 through 4. Also a short mini series, you might say. I'm only going to say this: parental advisory is in effect for most of these stories, including this one. Definitely one to check out. And Carnage Volume 3, 1 through 14, has a couple of great stories. We get Carnage reigns. You get Cletus Cassidy is back in the flesh, and it's just an
Well,
awesome.
not really at the beginning.
Was not really at the beginning. No, that was later. That was later on. That was closer to the round of the 12 to 14 mark, I believe.
Yeah.
So, but I'm just saying, you get multiple story arcs in that 1 to 14 that were just awesome. So
that was actually
definitely
the first one I had Precious read when she wanted to start reading Carnage.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. And did she like it? Yes or no?
Oh, she loved it. She made me reread it.
There you go. There you go. All right. So, Dan, why don't you go ahead and show us your recommended readings?
All right, so I'm going old school.
There you go.
With pretty much all of mine. Excuse me. Amazing Spider-Man 361 to 363. That's when Carnage first appeared, fought Spider-Man, fought Venom. That's the epitome of the character that I like, where it's, like I said, the psychotic killer.
Yep.
Maximum Carnage was just a huge 14-part Spider-Man event that ran through, all the Spidey titles, and it brought in all these other characters like Iron Fist and Captain America, and just, and Venom was having to
Firestar,
good guys, and Firestar, yeah, and it had the doppelganger Spider-Man from Infinity Crusade. And it was just a big, crazy storyline that was a huge deal. They made video games of it, and it was a big thing. So I had to put that on there. And then Carnage Mind Bomb, I had it in my top covers. And if you read it, it's a pretty crazy story too, and it delves a lot more into the origin of Cletus as a child, and what kind of drives him as a as being a why
psychotic killer
the way he is.
Yeah. Absolutely. Good choices, Dan. All right, Jamie, what did you got?
All right, it's time for me. My number one, I gotta go with, I like Access too much. I love the goofiness of it. I think if you're getting into it, you can actually afford these issues easily. Like I said, I always try to find one series in that whatever character we're doing where it's affordable. We're not, spending an arm and a leg to get it. But yeah, it's fun. It's literally Cletus trying to be a good guy, but he can't be. Next up, I have Deadpool vs. Carnage, and this is the original Deadpool vs. Carnage, not from Absolute Carnage.
Right.
This was just every Deadpool versus I wanted after, which we never got. This was like the staple of that run, and it was amazing. The gore, the violence, the humor in it, all amazing. Definitely pick up the trade if you can for this, because the single issues do run pretty hefty. Lastly, I gotta go with Carnage Volume 2. This, and it's 1 through 16. There is multiple different arcs. This is something I was talking about earlier, but Eddie Brock at this time is Toxin, and they're on a hunt for Carnage. This is where the Brotherhood and all the cults start, and then leads into what we see in Absolute Carnage. So if you want a place to start with that aspect, go there.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Tim actually says Deadpool versus Carnage was a fun read.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, it was.
And
so
I was going to say, since I made reference to it, yes.
Yeah.
Video game.
I remember that. And the cartridge is red too.
Yes, which was a super fun game. And yes, not all of them were. I don't really remember how they differentiated which ones were red and which ones were black. But yes, it was also a red cartridge for Sega, which was super cool.
Yes, definitely. So one of the things I wanted to touch on before we jump to the next segment was a lot of other symbiotes would actually come from Carnage. Like there was an iteration of Scream that
Yes.
came out. There was a short miniseries with Scream where she wasn't really a bad guy, but she was trying to be good. But the Carnage, the symbiote Carnage was it was formed from Carnage, so it was crazy, and she was trying to keep control on that. And some of the covers on that were just pretty badass. But that was a short miniseries, not really enough to do a whole comic character a week in depth for, but definitely something to check out. All right, so let me see. Derek has something to say. Let's see. Venom, definitely one of the most badass characters ever created. You are correct, sir.
Yeah, and if
You
you
are
keep
correct.
watching, bud, every Saturday, Sal will show you every variant ever made that comes out that week of Venom.
Look, I sometimes I get one or two. It's just not.
I already prefaced them on your Venoms. You don't have to try to be like, oh, it's not that much, but it is.
Oh, and make sure that you watch After Dark this Saturday, because I was personally with Sal when he got a whole stack of ratio
Not a whole
variants.
stack. Not a whole stack.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right, Tim. Tim says facts. So he's talking about the Derek's comments. He's saying
Yeah.
facts. That's true. That's true. That's true. All right, moving on to our next segment before I get into any more trouble here with the guys.
Well, you know
Is our-
what, Derek, too? If you like Venom, go check out the Comic Character of the Week episode that we did on Venom.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
you'll learn a lot, and then you can tell me what you want, and I can actually get it for you.
There you go. There you go. All right, so with our next segment is Best Artist and Author. Now, these are not necessarily both worked on the same book at the same time, but these are two guys that when we think of Carnage, this is our go-to writer and artist. Dan, why don't you go ahead and kick us off? What you got?
No.
Okay, Jamie, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
For writer, like I said, I like Carnage the way that he was introduced, so I'm going to have to go with his original writer and creator, David Michelini, and Mark Bagley for art. Whenever I think of, they said the images that popped into my head when you said you were doing the Carnage episode, it was all stuff that Mark Bagley had drawn, so I didn't really have to debate too hard on that.
Okay. Jamie, why don't you go ahead next?
That was easy. I had more trouble figuring these out than I have in any episode we've done. So for writer, that one was my heart. That was the hardest choice for me. But I gotta go with Ram V on that volume 3. He took Carnage and extended him to another level of badassery that should never have even happened.
Yep.
And then as far as we know, and as far as artist goes, I gotta go with Ryan Stegman. I think his Carnage was probably the most, I would say, visually like portrayed Carnage I've ever seen.
Yeah. Okay, very good. All right, so for my two, I actually had trouble picking ones out as well, but I'll start with artist, and I did have Stegman in my list. I had Ken Lashley, John McCrae. I also had like Tom Lyle, Mike Perkins. Those were all great artists for him.
Yeah, I had every artist that worked on him, Sal.
What's that?
I said you don't have to name every artist that ever worked on him.
No, I don't, but there's been a ton out there that I like. But I went with Mark Bagley. I went with Tim's favorite. Mark Bagley is for artist.
Woo!
All right, so for writer, I had a couple as well, but I ultimately went with David Michelini as well. I had Dan Slott and Donnie Cates in there.
I had Donnie Cates. That was hard, but it was like Donnie Cates writes a great event.
Yeah.
He did a great Venom, but he never took over Carnage. Like if he had his own solo run with Carnage, maybe.
I liked what he did, but I mean, but I went with David Michelini as my main main writer. So
I think Tim is right though. I think that Tinian would.
Oh yeah, Tinian would crush it.
Yeah, Tinian would. Yep. Tim's like, ooh, Donnie Cates. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. If you guys got anything in the chat that you want to shout out about the character, go for it. We'll throw it up here.
I got something.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Go ahead.
When
That's
the
what
character,
that is.
a little trivia for you.
All right.
Oh, God.
When the character was first created, his name was not going to be Carnage. There were two different names that he was going to have at first, and Carnage was the third choice. Do you know what names he was originally going to be called and why they were not used?
I feel like one was Anarchy.
That's
I have
not
no
one of
idea.
Okay, then I'm good.
I have no idea.
them. The first name the character was going to have was Chaos. Then they were like, oh, there's a character at another company that is named that.
Yeah.
So then the second name they were going to use was Ravage, and then David Michelini found out that, oh, they're doing this Ravage 2099 thing, and then so one of the assistant editors said, hey, how about Carnage? And that's why they went with that. So Almost had a very different name.
Yeah. So Pam says I helped work on an indie toy design that homage Carnage and used Bagley for the references. So
Oh,
Bagley,
that's cool.
nice, Pam.
Yeah.
Like that. Of course, Tim has to chime in with anti-venom. Yeah, there already is an anti-venom out there. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. You know? Yeah,
and
so
I'll say this too. I didn't see the second Venom movie because I thought the first one was a big turd, and I didn't think the second one would be any better. And from what I've heard, it wasn't.
No,
but
I've seen them.
You know, I think we need to start another topic at the end. And there's one more. After Best Writer and Artist, who would you like to see write and draw the character? Like Tim said, Tinian. I honestly would love the Jorge Jimenez to do art for Carnage.
I think Joe Hill, I'd like to see what he would do writing him.
Yeah, that'd be a tag team right there.
That'd be nice.
I think I was going to say, as much as I like Woody Harrelson, I think that they did a bad job casting him, because to me the perfect one to cast would be I'm forgetting the actor's name now.
Oh, the redhead you were talking about. What's it looks like him?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look it up because I'm completely blanking on his name now, which is annoying.
Tim says he's still mad about Venom 2.
I am not.
Jackie Earl Haley.
Venom 2 was terrible.
Jackie Earl Haley would have been a fantastic Carnage.
Oh, the dude who played Rorschach.
Yeah. And
he was in Kruger as well.
Yeah, he was in the original Bad News Bears. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
I will say this about the Venom 2 movie. I think they portrayed this how the symbiote comes out and flowing pretty well. You know, I don't think that was over CGI'd. So I mean, they have to CGI a whole crap ton to that, but I don't think it was overdone. I thought it was pretty well CGI'd. But that's it. I mean, everything else is.
Okay, first off, Tim, I'm gonna stop you right there from talking all this crap. You don't even know what the character that's inside Carnage's name is.
And Tim, Carnage is the red symbiont. Okay, the red one.
He's gonna be like Toxin?
No, the other red one, the original red one.
Jason from the Power Rangers?
Jason from the Power Rangers. All right, folks. I believe this could wrap up our show. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining in. I really appreciate that. This has been Comic Character of the Week for Carnage. It is what?
No, he used to call it Cassius Classity.
Cassius Classity. Nice.
We did the review that never got put out for the review for Venom 2. Yeah, and the whole time he's like, yeah, Cassius Classity. And I'm like, that's not his name. And he's like, it pissed me off so much I don't even have his name.
Wow.
I was like,
Curtis. This is Curtis.
Curtis
Cassidy. All right, folks.
You too, Bougie. Stay gold, Pony Boy.
Yep. Thanks, Bougie. I am your host, Sal the Slab Guy. When I'm not here on the Codex station, you can always find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner and on Instagram occasionally when Dan allows it as the Slab Guy 77. Down below me is the master of the art, Dan the Art Kelly, and you can always I'll let him tell you where you can find him. Go ahead, Dan. Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Dan Kelly Art. Post a few times a week. I've only drawn Carnage once. I drew a sketch card that I posted months and months ago, but I don't have it anymore. I gave it away to someone for I included with an eBay lot that I sold.
Mm.
But you can see it on my page. Just go on there and scroll back and give me some likes and a follow.
Sounds good. All right. Over to the right of me is the head cheese, the top dog, the man of the hour, Mr. Antonio Bandana.
Finally
J-Dub.
gets it right.
Hey, I knew I was good
Well,
eventually.
hey, real fast. Uncle Gary ain't here. He usually wants to give something to the audience, so I'll let you two give it to him.
All right. Here at the Codex Station, we have all the socials, and we want to give them to you. So go check us out.
To quote the prophet of our time, X gonna give it to you. Let us give it to you.
That's right.
We've got
That's
all the
right.
socials. We're gonna give it to
And
you.
while Tim is cooking you breakfast the next morning, head on over to thecodexstation.com and check out our merch. Buy a nice T-shirt that you can wear while you come to the breakfast table, and Tim will there be making some eggs and bacon, and he'll be taking care of you that next morning.
Yep. Soon to be, we'll have Codex pillowcases that'll have all our faces on it, so you can lay your head down right beside your.
I don't need my face on anything. I am good. I'll do it for y'all, but no one's drooling in my mouth when I don't know about it.
Lay your head down next to your favorite codexer.
Yes.
Oh God, that's crazy.
And I'm just gonna make everyone's face just too big for the pillow.
That's just crazy. No,
But real fast before we get off here today, someone's got to say it.
I'm not saying it.
No, do it.
I'm not saying it.
I'm not ending this until someone does it.
Gaping holes.
Thank you.